I did not understand boundaries or know anything about boundaries until I had a crisis in my life. And when I had our second son, Hudson, I was not myself. I just knew I wasn't myself. And I had two babies, 17 months apart, so it was a little wild. And eventually I was at a pediatric appointment and I was explaining to the pediatrician how I was really struggling. And she looked at me and said, "It sounds like you have postpartum depression." And when she said it, I knew she's right. Something is not right. So I started crying in the appointment. And I'm thinking, only in motherhood am I sitting here weeping in an appointment for my child. But she said, "You need to call somebody and get some help. And of course, I'll help you, whatever you need." So I remember calling one of my friends. Her mom was a Christian counselor. And I wanted to go meet her. And I went into her office and she asked me a few questions. And at the end of it, she said to me, well, out of the 14 signals of postpartum depression, you have 13 of them.
Oh my goodness.
And I, again, burst into tears. What am I gonna do? And so because I'm a leader and an efficient person, I'm like, what do you want me to do? And she was like, nothing. I don't want you to do anything. I want you to get a good night's sleep. And we're gonna work on getting a good night's sleep. And once you can get sleep, your brain gets rid of its toxins and you'll be able to receive the information I'm giving you. And so I ended up going to her for over 6 months and walking through healing until she finally sat down and she said something to me that made me wanna punch her in the face. She said, "You know, Havilah," and this is 6 months later, she said, "Do you really wanna know what I think about all of this?" And I said, "I do, I'm ready." I was feeling much better about my life. And she said, "You would have been here eventually. The baby just got you here sooner."
Wow.
And she said, "You don't know how to do life healthy and you don't know how to have boundaries." And she was right. I didn't know how to do boundaries. I was raised in a minister's home. I was in ministry at this point. And I thought yes was godly. You know, I thought no was mean. And so she said to me, "If you're willing to come hang out with me for 1 year, every Friday for 2.5 hours, I'm going to gather a group of other women that are completely anonymous. You're not going to be allowed to know their last name or where they serve, but they're highly influential women that need to learn these skills as well. And I'm going to teach you every single Friday, and you have to come every Friday and pay for it." And it was a huge sacrifice, but I sat, and that year ended up almost turning into 2 years, and I learned what it looked like to be a healthy mom and a wife. And what it came down to was boundaries. And boundaries are simply where I begin and where you end, or where I end and where you begin. We're owners of our own space, and that's our stewardship. And so when I'm clear on what I need to own, life gets so much easier. And when I am owning everybody else's space, life gets really complex. So as a mom, bring it back, I had to learn what God held me responsible for. And those were 3 distinct things: my feelings, how I feel about life; my attitudes, what I think about life; and my choices, what I do in my life. And those things were in my yard, and I get to steward those areas, and no one else is responsible. Like, you know, we bought a home recently, and we live in, I didn't know it was like an elderly retired neighborhood, but apparently it is, because everybody mows their lawn every other day. But if I walked outside and was like, "You know, Mike, why didn't you mow my lawn? You have the time." You'd think, that's weird. He's not gonna mow your lawn. This is your yard. It's the same way in our lives. We don't often steward our yards, and we expect a lot of people to take care of things. But when you get really clear on what is yours and what is not yours, life begins to be not just manageable, but super enjoyable. And that's taken me a long time. I mean, I'm saying that like I'm an expert, but through tears and anxiety and fear of man, and all of that, did I have to really learn how to steward my life.